Hong Kong was a former British colony and currently a special administrative region of the People's Republic of China. Most of us might not know the development behind the national identity of Hong Kong, let alone the ethnic minorities that migrated to Hong Kong. Starting from the late 19th century, more workers from South Asian colonies such as India, Pakistan, and Nepal were arranged by the British government to move to Hong Kong due to inadequate manpower, and their next generations also stayed in Hong Kong, aiming for better lives, and thus became part of the ethnic minority groups. We at 1945 have stated that a minority group is any group of people who, because of their physical characteristics, are singled out from others in the society in which they live for differential and unequal treatment. Hong Kong is a largely homogeneous society with 94% of its population being Han Chinese, while the other 6% of its population consisting of ethnic minorities. The Census and Statistics Department in 2011 have stated that a total of 451,183 ethnic minorities, which constitute 6% of the whole population, were living in this special administrative region. The ethnic minorities will get segregated from the local students and end up at designated schools for their secondary and primary education in Hong Kong, as the Education Bureau hopes that the segregation of secondary schools would eventually help the ethnic minorities adapt to the society and adapt to the local education system of Hong Kong more quickly. In this video, we'll going to analyze and discuss the experience of ethnic minorities studying at designated secondary schools in Hong Kong. Interview Mr. Yim, a Chinese teacher teaching ethnic minority students in Hong Kong, to see his personal opinion and experience of teaching ethnic minority students. And he mentioned the following during the interview. Education Bureau have mentioned the following statement in 2017. In addition, Hearn in 2006 have pointed out that also interviewed an ethnic minority student studying at a designated secondary school and asked her some questions.
So, can you introduce yourself? Like, what's your ethnicity and your name?
Hello, my name is Krista and I'm a Filipino student studying in this designated school.
Alright, so my first question is, what are the difficulties you face in learning Chinese? Because as you know that you're an ethnic minority in Hong Kong and you have some difficulties facing Chinese. So what kind of difficulties you face in learning the Chinese language?
It's definitely the speaking aspect for me because Chinese has many different tones and those kind of tones are very unfamiliar to me. So I just find it extremely difficult to catch up.
Alright, so as an ethnic minority in Hong Kong, you're doing the GCSE, right? But not the DSE Chinese, right? So, what's your future career plans or future plans for university? Since you're in Form 4 right now?
It's a limited choice for me since I'm not very fluent in Chinese. But maybe one day in the future I can become maybe a teacher or someone that can help other ethnic minorities.
Alright. So, do you have many friends that are like Hong Kongers or the ethnic minorities?
I do have quite a few, but in comparison to my own country, my own ethnicity, my friends from that ethnicity, I don't have many local friends.
Alright, fair enough. And then, what do you think the Hong Kong government do to improve the situation of local and ethnic minorities being segregated in primary school and secondary school?
We should definitely encourage Chinese learning at an early age, especially from ethnic minorities, so they won't have to struggle while catching up with the local students.
So my last question before we end the interview today, do you have any additional comments about the situation about ethnic minorities and local Chinese in Hong Kong, as well as the segregation of secondary school and primary school in Hong Kong?
I do think it's a struggle to be on equal footing with the locals, and considering we are taught a simplified curriculum, it's very difficult for us to be in a harmonic environment with locals and Chinese students. So I think hopefully the government can do something more so that we can coexist together in one society.
Alright, thank you.
Mick and Kennedy in 2016 have mentioned that our group interviewed Miss Benita Chick, a former community outreach director of Ming Shi office and current board member of AIDS Concern, to get her perspective on segregation of secondary schools in Hong Kong. So we have Miss Benita Chick here today, so we would like to ask you a few questions. So the first question we would like to ask you is,
how do you think the segregation of local and ethnic minority students affect their ability to learn Chinese? I mean, in terms of the segregation of primary and secondary school in Hong Kong.
You mean inside the school, they're in different streams, right?
Yes.
I mean, there's a necessity of doing that because obviously they're different level. But I think outside classroom, and maybe some PE or music or activities, there can be more integration. So the ethnic minority students have more chance to practice speaking Cantonese. Yeah.
All right, and then. Anyway, we move on to the second question. So what do you think the government can do to improve the ethnic minority situation in terms of language and finding jobs in Hong Kong?
I think the government needs to do a lot more to encourage employer to hire ethnic minority. So I mean, right now in certain industry, maybe construction, you see a lot of ethnic minority or the delivery, the different service. But I think there are actually a lot of jobs. For example, if F&B, if you're like working in Starbucks or something, you don't actually need to write Chinese. And I think the government can be an example. For example, in some of the outlet or even in the community center, they can start hiring more ethnic minority. And for the language requirement, I think I mean obviously the ethnic minority students they might take a different DSE curriculum than the normal one, and a lot of university admission already taking account of it. But maybe for the sub-degree program at least can also offer more options for ethnic minority students and not only at the university level.
Alright, we move on to the last question. So, as you mentioned about the sub-degree programs and many ethnic minorities working in F&B, so we move on to the last question. How do you think the inadequate ability of Chinese language in terms of speaking, writing and listening Chinese affects the social mobility in Hong Kong?
I think it's a very strange thing. Like if you ask me about ethnic minority issue, I think you have this like central like bankers, lawyers, they don't speak any Chinese, but they are still very affluent. So they are very professional. And then you have those who are more struggling, those who do the lower end job. I think the society, the culture has to change that these people can work as well. So they have the social mobility to go up. You can perfectly go without speaking Chinese in Hong Kong in a lot of the professional jobs. So that shouldn't be an issue, but it's how open-minded the employers are for this kind of workers. Yeah.
Alright, thank you. So this is all the questions. So we hope that what perspective did Ms. Benita Chick give you will actually have a more open perspective towards the segregation of secondary schools in Hong Kong. Thank you.
Thank you for watching our video. I hope that after you watch our video, you have a better understanding of segregated secondary schools in Hong Kong, and as well as the interviews that we had with Chinese teachers that teach ethnic minority students in Hong Kong, as well as an ethnic minority student, and as well as the staff that work for Minorities office. So thank you for watching, and we hope you enjoyed this video. Bye bye.